So actually, I was just looking at these books on my shelf, and I was thinking, wow, that's 30, 40 years ago. I was very interested in the field of ecology and the field of environmentalism. I spent a lot of time studying that and teaching. Well, before I came to San Francisco State, I was at Loyola University in Chicago, and I taught some of the first few courses on ecology and organizations. And at that time, the way that environmentalism was seen in business schools was very limited. It was that the talk at the time was about sustainability, that we need to create sustainable organizations. But the hidden assumptions there were that businesses can still engage in unlimited growth. So when you were talking about sustainability, it was always based on making the market case or the business case for a sustainability program. And now 30 years later, given the state of crisis that the climate is in, the climate emergency, all these kinds of natural fires and floods and hurricanes and just global warming predictions, we're just we're past where we should be by now. But people were thinking about this way back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And while I understand that a lot of business schools have introduced sustainability programs and sustainability certificates and so forth, I don't think they've gone far enough to address kind of the root causes of the problem. And it goes back to that: what is the nature of organizations in society? What is the purpose of organizations in society? Do they only serve corporate profit? Do they only serve the stakeholders of capitalist shareholders? And yes, we've heard about stakeholder capitalism. We've heard all those buzzwords. We've heard about ESG and so forth. But if you really kind of look under the hood, a lot of that is window dressing. A lot of that has not really gotten down into questioning corporate logic. And so I think where my thinking has evolved is that I think business schools really need to be reimagined, radically reimagined, in such a way that business should be a force for world benefit, not a force for world destruction. And to get there, I don't think it's going to be easy, but to keep pretending as if these sustainability certificates are really going to make a dent in the problem is to me is a bit delusional. I really think we have to take a hard look at ourselves and start thinking about education as not as conveying techniques, not as conveying tools, but as a way of getting people to think philosophically in a way that's pragmatic philosophy, a philosophy of organizing. How could we imagine other ways of organizing that don't serve always the interest of unlimited growth, corporate profits at the expense of the environment, at the expense of people's health, right? The expense of people's security, right? And so I think this is where my thinking has evolved, that we need to kind of just completely reimagine, not tweak, not do these little reforms here and there. Business schools have been doing that for the last 100 years. There's a history of business schools, kind of navel-gazing and then thinking about how they're going to reform. But until you get to the guts or to the really crux of the problem, which is corporate logic and managerial capitalism, things are just going to keep on going on the way they are without any kind of radical shift.